Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be something really special because we are doing a complete deep dive into Pixar's Inside Out 2. This movie isn't just entertainment, it's a masterclass in storytelling and mental health descriptions. This movie, released in 2014, this film became a box office phenomenon. And there's no addition. It speaks to every teenager, every parent, and honestly anyone who's ever struggled with anxiety and growing up. In today's video, I am not just telling you what happened. I am going to analyze every character arc, break down the symbolism, explore the physiological themes, and point out hidden details you might have missed on your first watch. So grab your favorite snacks, sitting in, because this is going to be a journey. Let's dive in. First, let's quickly recap in the original Inside Out. We met 11-year-old Riley as her family moved from Minnesota to San Francisco. The movie's biggest lesson was the sadness in essential. You can't have a healthy emotional life with just joy. The first film ended with Riley finding balance with her emotion, but now she is 13, right on the escape of poverty. And as we all know, teenage years are never simple. The stakes are higher, the emotions are more complex, and Riley is about to discover that growing up means accepting all part of yourself, even the messy ones. The movie opens with what seems like a simple moment, really playing in a hockey game. This opening is brilliant because it immediately establishes Riley's current state. She is confident, skilled, coordinating with her teammates. But then there's a moment where she accidentally trips an opponent and ends up in a penalty box. This seemingly minor movement is actually foreshadowing. It hints at Riley's impulsive nature that will be amplified later. Her reaction in the penalty box is also important. She is frustrated but quickly recovers. This slows her current emotion realize. In Heterocrat, we see a familiar face: joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger, all working harmoniously. And here's a critical detail: their console is now more sophisticated, symbolizing Riley's growing complexity. Joy cuts up on Riley's life update. She has two best friends, Grace and Bree, who are her folky teammates and partner in crime. Riley's mind has developed now new islands representing her evolving interest, but they are a stable yet detail we need to pay attention to. Joy is systematically sending all of Ray's unpleasant memories down a tape back to the mind. She cheerfully explains that those memories don't need to be part of Riley's sense of self. This is a huge red flag. Joy, who learned in the first movie that all emotions are important, is making the same mistake again, just in a different way. She is suppressing bad experiences, which is physiologically unhealthy. This behavior is actually a form of anxiety itself. Joy is unconscious, but that negative memories will destroy Riley's happiness. It's a brilliant storytelling choice because it shows that even adults trying to protect teenagers sometimes create harmful outcomes. We see Joy create sense of self, a growing structure of stands that say things like I am a good person, I am a good friend. On the surface is positive, but it's incomplete. It doesn't reflect Riley's whole reality. After the game, a pivotal moment arrives. Coach Roberts, a thought but fair coach, calls Riley, Grace, and Bree over. She invited them to a 3-day hockey camp that could be their chance to make the Fire Hawks their local high school team. This news makes all three of them ecstatic. This scene is important because it established the stakes. The Firehawks aren't just a team. They represent Riley's future, her identity, her sense of believing. This pressure will fuel anxiety later. The night Riley's parents congratulate her, and as she goes to sleep in her room, everything seems perfect. But we know this is the claim before the storm. During the night, while all the emotions are peacefully sleeping, a defending alarm suddenly bursts. It's the priority alarm. Joy instantly panics and tries to send the alarm down the recall tab like she does with everything involvement, but it doesn't work. Suddenly, a giant wrecking bell smashed through the headquarters wall, and mind worker, a construction crew, burst in the demolish the entire console to install a new upgraded version. This whole sequences is physically chaotic, and that's the point. Puberty is disrupted, unexpected, and uncontrollable. The emotion was helplessly as their family worship is completely transformed. The next morning, when anger, sadness, and disgust touch the console, Riley asks her mom, "Do I look different?" And when her mom says no, Riley dramatically shouts, "That's what I was afraid of." This overreaction perfectly captures hormonal change and teenage self-consequences. Riley's parents exchange glances. They know puberty has arrived. On the bus of camp, devastating news arrive. Ads and Bree reveal they are going to a different high school. This visibly upset Riley. Her closest friend won't be with her. But when the bus reaches the hockey rink, Riley sees Walt, the Firehawks captain, and Riley's idol. And at the exact moment the new emotion being to arrive, anxiety, arrive first. Her appearance is telling, orange color, white nervous energy, constantly moving. She awkwardly introduced Riley to Val, causing Riley to fumble. Anxiety compresses herself to fear, but while fear worries about immediately dangers, anxiety worries about things that might happen, things she can't see the future. Envy is a tiny blue emotion characterized as a curious toddler. When she sees Val's cool red hair streak, envy climbs onto the console and makes Riley touch Val's hair, which is super awkward and inappropriate. Disgust, horrified reaction perfectly capture the social hoxpass. Envy represents upward compression, seeing others' qualities and feeling inferior. Embarrassment is a large pink hooded emotion who can barely speak from shyness. His whole body language screams self-consequences. He is always trying to hide himself. It's the perfect representation of teenage years when every moment feels potentially humiliating. Inmu is a dark purple, French accented emotion who sprawls on a couch with her phone. She operated the console through a phone app. hilariously relatable for modern teenagers. Inmu represents teenage apathy and the nothing impress me attitude. She is angry opposite. Where angry is passionate, Inmu is completely detached. Finally, nostalgia arrives, an elderly emotion who wants to get emotional about the past. But anxiety immediately tells her you are not gonna be needed for a while and send her away. It's a funny moment but also point. Teenage rarely feel nostalgic. They are obsessed with the future. From their day one, tension starts building. Really, Grace and Bree want to stay together, but Coach Roberts separate them because they are goofing off. She takes everyone's phone, which frustrates Riley. Worse, Riley makes a sarcastic comment. The coach the entire team to get punished with stacking lines. This moment deeply embarrassed Riley. She made a bad impression on the teammates she wanted to impress. In the locker room, Riley accidentally overhears Well's friend talking about negative about her. This rejection triggers anxiety, and this is where anxiety makes a drastic decision. She wants to take control of Riley's future. The evening when coach announces the teams for the scrimmage, it becomes a critical moment. Riley was to take a choice: stay with Grace and Bree or join Val and the Firehawks players. Joy is confident Riley will choose her best friend because her sense of self says I am a good friend. But anxiety interprets her logic. To secure Riley's future, she needed to bond with the Firehawks players, and then she makes a shocking move. She physically yanks out Riley's entire sense of self and sends it down the recall tap to the back to the mind. Joy processed is horror, but anxiety argues it's better for Riley. We need to plan for the future, she says. Then at anxiety interactions, embarrassment, who is secretly sympathetic but working under peer pressure, bottle up all the old emotion and send them away by recall tap. This cop dictate is symbolically powerful. It represents how in teenage years anxiety and peer pressure override our core values. The Riley who was loyal and authentic temporarily gets lost to the Riley who is desperate to fit in. Anxiety then starts using recent memories to create a new sense of self, and in this new version Riley chooses Val, Grace and Bree are clearly hurt, but Riley justifies her decision to herself. Manuel, joy, sadness, fear, disgust and anger wake up in a dark, confident space. They discover they are in the vault, where Riley's most secret and surprise memories are kept. Here they meet some hilarious character. Bluffy, a kids TV show character Riley was obsessed with as a child. Bluffy was a sidekick, a magic punch that can produce unlimited items. Then there are Lance Sablish, a hyper-masculine video game character, complete with a impossibly large sword and dramatic shape. This character is a parody of typical Final Fantasy protagonists. Disgust admit that she had a crush on Lance, a sweet, relatable detail. The most mysterious is Deep Dark Secret, a hooded figure who speaks in whisper. He ultimately helps them escape the vault. Those characters isn't just comic relief, they represent Riley's past, her childhood that she is outgrowing. Their intention is bittersweet because it reminds us of the iconic Riley's is ruling. They use punches thematic to blow the vault door and launch special groundhold roll ability to escape from mind works. These action sequences is physically entertaining while also serving to shape the emotion determination. Its headquarters anxiety was taken full control and in systematically transferring Riley. Riley now wake up at 5 a.m. for extra practice. She is investing all her energy in blowing with Val and the Firehawks players, and slowly Grace and Bree are being pushed to the periphery. This transformation is visually and emotionally painful to watch. In one sense, Riley makes fun of her favorite boy band in front of Val to seem cool, even though she secretly still loves them. Grace and Bree overhear this conversation and the hurt on their face is clear. Then Joy and her team witness those scenes from Imagination Land. Joy tries to control attack by creating positive scenarios, but anxiety's dark visions overwhelm her optimistic ones. One vertical night, Val and her friends saw Riley Coach Robert's office. There a journal where Coach keeps notes about players. This forbidden knowledge spreads Riley's anxiety. She wants to know what Coach thinks of her. The night Riley learns about the journal, she can't sleep. Anxiety wakes up her and manipulates her into sneaking into Coach's office. This scene is shot like a teen's thriller. Dark corridors, cracking floors, Riley's nervous breathing. It shows how anxiety makes us do things we normally wouldn't do. Joy and the others still trying to return from the back of the mind. Desperately try to hack Imu's phone. Sadness brilliantly succeeds in accessing the console app and try to stop Riley, but anxiety snatches the phone back. Willie opens the journal and finds her name, and there's it says no Reddit yet. Those two words devastated Riley. All her effort, all her sacrifice, and Coach think he's not ready. This rejection sent anxiety into overdrive. The next sequences is heartbreaking. Riley's practice all night without sleeping. She even goes to the bathroom and put a red stick in her hair, just like Val's. This hair stick is deeply symbolic. It shows Riley is losing her own identity. She doesn't want to be herself. She wants to be Val or who Val wants her to be. It's a heartbreaking visual representation of teenage contemporary. Joy, sadness, fear, and disgust reached a critical juncture, the stream of consequences. It's reality a flow river of release throughout that can take them to headquarters. But Imu's sardonic influence creates a chasm, a brilliant pun where whatever is said automatically becomes sarcastic. This creative world building is a hallmark of the Inside Out franchise. It makes abstract physiological concept visual and trembling, but as they go further, they get trapped in a brainstorm or storm of ideas, a chaotic whirlwind of racing through. This visual is overwhelming, and there's the intention is represent mental choice. Trapped in the storm, Joy is a emotional breaking point. Joy, who always tried to stay positive and optimistic, finally breaks down. She admits that maybe anxiety is right. Maybe they are not relevant in Riley's life anymore. Maybe her leadership was inadequate. This is a profound character moment for Joy. In the first movie, she learned to value sadness. Now she's learning to acknowledge vulnerability and self-doubt. It shows that growing up isn't just for Riley. Joy has to grow too. Anger surprisingly became the voice of reason. He realized Joy reminding her what really need them. This moment is beautiful because it shows what every emotion, even anger, was a valuable role. Emerging from the brainstorm, they finally reached the first corner of the back of the mind where Riley's original sense of self lies, forgotten and abandoned. Seeing this growing structure bring tears to Joy's eyes. It represents the Riley who was kind, loyal, authentic, and Joy realized this is what need to be protected. But then they see anxiety, new sense of self in headquarters, a dark, treasured web that say I am not good enough. This is corrupted self-image in the core of anxiety disorder. The present belief that you are inherently flawed. Embarrassment who was been secretly confident the whole time quietly tries to help. Sadness send the sense of self through the recall type. But anxiety discovered this and in the race destroy the tablet itself. Joy collapsed in despair. Their last hope is gone, but then she looked around at the avalanche to bad memories she herself created by surprising them, and a crazy despair plan forms in her mind. Joy's plan is insane but brilliant. They will use all of Punch's dynamite to blow up the pile of suppressed memories and write the avalanche of memories back to headquarters. Punch put out tens of dramatic from his magic punch. Anger happily light the fuse, and boom, the entire back of the mind erupts in a cascade of memories. Joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger surf the wave turned headquarters. This sequence is visually spectacular. Thousands of memory spheres raising emotion, presently balancing. It's symbolically powerful too. Joy is reality embracing the bad memory she tried to avoid. It's her final lesson. You can't run from the past. You have to accept it. Meanwhile, on the ice rink, the scrimmage has begun, and really is not herself. She is playing hyper aggressive, completely obsessed with beating Val's freshman scoring record. She is ignoring teammates, hooking the punk, just trying to prove she's enough. Anxiety is frantically controlling the console in headquarters, pushing release heart rate faster, but control is sleeping. Anxiety hands are shaking, her breathing erratic. Really rushes for her third goal, but in her desperation, she calls heart with grace. Grace falls on the ice hurt. The reference blow the whistle. Really goes to the penalty box, and they are sitting alone and isolated. Everything shears down. Really's breathing suddenly become rapid. Her chest feeling tight. Everything around her blurs. This is a fall-down panic attack. A particle is clearly accurate and deeply moving. Pixar animators and consultants worked with mental health experts to capture this moment authentically. In headquarters, anxiety worst fear is being released. She can't help really. She is haunting her. Anxiety gets trapped in a tornado, whirling uncontrollably. It's a visual metaphor for the anxiety spiral. When unconscious thoughts fill into each other faster and faster until it becomes completely overwhelming. Anxiety is frozen, helpless, for horrified at her own creation. This moment makes her a sympathetic character. She is not a villain. She is simply an emotion who took too much control. At this critical moment, Joy and others crash into headquarters with the memory avalanche. All the emotion together pull at anxiety's corrupted sense of self, trying to remove it from the console. But it's deeply rooted. Joy pushed toward the console, but she also looked at anxiety, trapped in her tornado, terrified. And the moment Joy realized the solution isn't to fight anxiety, the solution is to understand her, to help her let go. Joy gently, compassionately tells anxiety to realize the console. It's okay, Joy says. You don't have to control everything, anxiety. Exhausted and defeated. Finally, let's go. The tornado disappears. Release, breathing slowly, stabilize. Joy replaces the old sense of self on the console. For a moment, it seems like everything will be okay, but then it fades away because the incomplete too really isn't that simple, purpley, positive girl anymore. She is complex, fluid, real. And then a new sense of self forms and interacts beautiful waves from everything, good and bad, joy and sadness, confidence and anxiety. This new sense of self contains contradictions. I am a good person, and sometimes I need up. I am a good friend. Sometimes I let people down. I am talented and I am still learning. This is the movie's profound message. Growing up means acknowledging what we are. Consequently, we can be brave and scared simultaneously, kind and selfish, confident and insecure, and that's okay. That's what being human is. All the emotion, joy, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, anxiety, envy, embrace, inmu together embrace this complex self. They understand what to guide really. They all need to work together. In the penalty box, Rayleigh's breathing normalizes. Her vision clears and she sees Grace and Bree approaching her. Rayleigh genuinely apologizes to them. She admits she was a troubled friend. She has hurt them because to her own insecurities. Grace and Bree, being true friends, forgave her. They hug her, and this moment is powerful because it shows real friendship means accepting perfection. Coach Roberts calls Rayleigh over. Rayleigh expects the worst, but Coach, who's seen everything, simply tells her that hockey isn't just about skill, it's about teamwork and character. Not really yet doesn't mean never. It means there is room for growth. This conversation gives Rayleigh a healthier perspective. She understands what failure isn't an ending, it's part of the learning process. A few months later, Rayleigh stayed high school with the Firehawks. She still remained close contact with Grace and Bree through text and video calls. Even though they are a different school, their friendship remains strong. In headquarters, a beautiful new dramatic has been established. Joy is still the leader, not a doctor. All emotions input is valued. Anxiety was a special chair, a message chair, and away from the console. When she started getting injections, Joy directed her to the chair where she can relax without talking over. It's a perfect metaphor for healthy anxiety management. Acknowledge it but not letting it control you. Realize phone buzz, she smiled immediately. Good news. Possibility confirmed about continuing with the Firefox. Final shot. All 9 emotions together, harmoniously working to negative complex teenage release. It's hopeful, realistic, and a deeply satisfying conclusion. Inside Out 2 is most significant achievement in the authentic mental health portrayal. Pictures, phenomenal, blockbuster Inside Out 2. This isn't just another animated sequel, it's a groundbreaking achievement that shattered every box office record imaginable and became the highest grossing animated film of all time. Inside Out 2 earned over 1.68 billion globally, dethroning Frozen 2 after 5 years and proving the original storyline still reigns supreme. But the story isn't just those recording breaking number. It's the incredible journey for the director childhood photo to a actual phenomenon that restored with millions worldwide. How did a first time feature director navigated the pressure of following Pet Doctor's masterpiece? What inspired the creation of anxiety and the other new emotions? How did Pixar overcome casting controversies, candidate challenges, and a actor strike? How what revolutionary animation technology brought those complex characters back to 9 years later? Today I am talking you on a complete journey from Classic Man's personal inspiration to the film frame that made audience worldwide. We will the creative decision, the technical improvement, the casting drama, and why this film matters for animation's future. Make sure you snack around till the end because we are breaking down explosive details about what made this the most successful animated film ever created. Let's dive in. A director's personal journey. The journey toward creating Inside Out 2 being in January 2020, and it starts with nostalgia. Kelsey Mann, a long-time Pictures veteran who had worked as story supervisor on Monsters University, The Good Dinosaurs, and onward, was looking through old photos when he stumbled upon image from one of his childhood birthday parties. As he studied those photos, memories floated back, not just of the party itself, but of what he was feeling at that age. The anxiety about whether anyone would show up, the embarrassment of being the center of attention, the envy of friends who seemed more confident. Those wasn't the emotion of childhood. The first Inside Out 2 had explored. Those were the complex, often unforgettable feeling of adolescence. This moment of reflection sparked an idea. At the end of the first Inside Out 2, released in 2015, Joy looked directly at the camera and said, "After all, release is 12 now. That could happen." That line had always stuck with Man. He knew exactly what could happen become he'd lived it. Protocol happens, high school happens, and with those come a whole new emotion landscape. The 5 basic emotions simply couldn't negative alone. Man has been with Pictures since 2009, working his way up through the ranks. Born November 16, 1974 in Barnsley, Minnesota, he graduated from Northern Musical University with a Bachelor of Art in Illusions. In 1998, he had studied at the American Academy in the early 20s before being recruited by Cartoon Network, then eventually joining Pixar. This was his chance to step into the director's chair for the first time, but it came with enormous pressure. Following Pet Doctor, Pictures chief creative officer and the director of the beloved original would be on small fade. Inside Out had earned over $850 million worldwide, won the Academy Award for Best Animation Feature, and become one of Pixar's most creativity excellent film. It revolutionized how we talk about emotion and mental health, particularly with children. But man felt strongly that there was more story of tell. Riley's journey wasn't complete. The equation wasn't where to make a sequel, it was whether they could make one worthy of the original. Man approached Pet Doctor with his concept, Doctor recognizing the potential and trusting man's vision, agreed to serve as executive productor, providing guidance while allowing man's creative freedom. It was the mentorship that could prove critical throughout production. By September 2020, during the 83 Expo, Pixar officially announced Inside Out 2, with Annie Poehler talking the stage of discuss the project. Kelly's man was introverted as director, Mark Nicholas as producer, and Meg Lefevre, who had co-written the first film, was announced to return for the screenplay. The team was assembled. Now come the hard part, bringing it to life. Developing the new emotion. The first major creative challenge was determining which new emotion would join Riley's mind. This decision would define the new entire film. Man and his team initially explored a much wider range of potential emotion. The brainstorming season were exhaustive. They considered dozens of possibilities: frictions, pride, guilt, shame, curiosity, nostalgia, and many others. Each emotion had merit, but the team needed to maintain narrative clarity. The first film had succeeded partly because it kept things focused with five core emotions. Adding too many emotions, new character would delight the story. Eventually, they narrowed it down to four new emotions that perfectly captured the adolescent experience: anxiety, envy, embarrassed, and emo. Anxiety emerged as the central new emotion and the film's primary antagonist. Through calling her the antagonist doesn't quite capture the complexity. Anxiety isn't evil. She genuinely believes she is helping Riley succeed. She wants to protect Riley from potential failure, loneliness, and disappointment. But her mother had overthinking, castigizing, trying to control every outcome, end up causing the very problem she is trying to prevent. This necessary potential would become one of the film's greatest strengths. To ensure actually is depending anxiety and adolescent emotion development. Pixar brought in clinical physiologist as consequence. Mr. Lisa Damore, a rounded educationist, physicalist, Mr. and Dr. Rachel Culture, who had also consulted on the first film, worked closely with the creative team, then provide insights into how anxiety manifests in teenagers, how it different from normal worry, and how it can spiral into panic attack. The team also assemble a group of actual teenagers who provide feedback throughout development. Those conversations provide individual the teenager help the filmmaking understand the actual language, conquers, and experience of modern adolescents. They called out moments that felt intricate and clear scenes that captured their reality perfectly. Envy was designed to represent that constant compression teenagers make with their peers. She is small but mighty, also looking at what others have and wanting it. Her diminutive size was a deliberate choice. She needed to literally look up to everyone else. Embarrassed become the large, hoodie wearing emotion who want to hide from attention. His design won through memories insertion before they landed on the perfect embodiment on the teenage wish to become invisible when embraced. In the French word for burden or lightly sown represent that distancy teenage effect of being too cool or care. Her design come together quickly. Story artist Span Park staged her as a wet hoodie, and that image captured exactly what they needed. She is approved on a couch, barely enhanced, responding to everything with empathy. It's funny but also deeply aesthetic to the pace where teenagers adopt detachment as a defense mechanism. The decision to add those specific four emotions elongates the original five created perfect dramatic tension. The original emotion represent Lily's childhood self, while the new ones represent the person she was becoming. The conflict between childhood innocence and adolescent complexity would give the entire narrative. The casting process. With the character design, Pixar needed to find the perfect voice for bringing them to life. The process would involve both joyful discoveries and controversial decisions. The returning cast was mostly straightforward. Many people agreed to return as Joy. The character had become one of her most beloved roles. Philip Smith returned as Sadness, and Lois Black came back as Anger. Black's distinctive gravity voice had become inseparable for the character, and his recording sessions were legendary, hilarious. But two key roles needed recasting, and this would become the film's first major controversy. Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling, who had voiced fear and disgust in the original, would not be returned. The reason a salary despair that exposed unforgettable truth about voice actor composition. According to industry reports, Disney offered Hader and Kaling approximately $100,000 each to reprise their roles. While what might sound submissional to general voice artists, it's significantly below industry standard for actors to their caliber returning off to a major franchise sequel, especially one with Inside Out 2's project's box office potential. Both actors reportedly turned down the offer. The situation drew criticism from the animation company. Some pointed out that this wasn't surely similar lowball offer had affected the casting of Sheep and Dale, Resource Rangers, and other recent Disney projects. The controversy highlights ongoing debates but fair competition in animation, where voice actors often don't receive the same back-end profit as live-action performers despite films earning billions. Picture moved forward with recasting. Tony Hale, known for his Emmy-winning role as Gary Walsh in Veep and as Forky in Toy Story 4, was cast as Fear. Hale brought a significantly different energy, more neurotic and sadistic, and Heather's mystery anxiety, but it worked for Millie as a teenager. Lisa Lapira, recognized for her work on NCIS and other procedural dreams, took over as disgust. Product Mark Listen diplomatically acknowledged the situation in interviews, praising the original cast while welcoming the new additions. Both Well and Lafia did admirable work, making the roles their own rather than simply imposing their precedents. But the most critical new casting was Anxiety, and finding her voice provide magical. In November 2023, Mia Hawke, daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, known for her breath role as Robin in Stranger Things, was announced as the voice of Anxiety. But the story of how she was cast in remarkable. Classy Man was on vacation with his family at EPCOT in Disney World when product Mark Listen called. Nislen had to just learn that Mia Hawke was also available for a audition. Right then, the team arranged a Zoom call, waving Man away from his family to a backstage Disney office behind the Mexico pavilion. During the interview audition, Hawke delivered an exotic rapid-fire performance that immediately captured the character. Man became emotional. He later admitted he may have cried during the audition because it was so perfect. Hawke understands instantly that Anxiety talks fast, second guesses everything, and victoriable with nervous energy. She brought vulnerability and sensitivity. They made Anxiety sympathetic even then when her action hurt release. Man called Nislan immediately after the audition consecuted. May Hawke was their Anxiety. For the other new emotion, Poe Walter Hauser was cast as Embarrassment, Daly as Inmu, and Io as Envy. Each brought distinction vocal qualities that perfectly matched their characters. The voice cast was complete. Now come the monumental task of actually producing the film and the process would face obstacles, none of them attempted. Production challenge, pandemic and strike. Inside Out 2 began production in January 2020. Quite possibly the worst timing in modern history. With known the COVID-19 pandemic shut down the world, Pixar's office is Emerald, California emptied as the entire crew transferred to remote work. This pursued unprecedented challenge for animated filmmaking, which traditionally relies heavily on in-person collaboration. Directors, story artists, animators, lighter and effect artists all worked from their home. Technology that had been development for occasional remote work suddenly needed to support entire film production. Pictures IT development proved miracle incident. Everyone had prepared equipment and source access to the massive files required for animation. The remote work changed the collaborative dramatic story which season happened over Zoom. Director Kelly's man couldn't walk through the building, dropping in on different departments to check progress and offer feedback. Everything became more scheduled, more formal. The casual conversation that often sparked creative breakthrough became harder to calibrate. but the team adopted. They had virtual brainstorming sessions, story artists pitch sequence for their home office. The animation team found way to shark work and provide feedback. Assumptory in some ways. The forced distance made everyone more deliberative and thoughtful in their communication. By 2021 and 2022, as the world slowly represent pictures adopt a hybrid model, some employees return to the studio while others remain remote. This flexibility helped maintain safety while restoring some in-person collaboration, just as production was hitting its stride in 2013. Another craze embraced the Hollywood actor strike, the SAG-AFTRA strike, which ran from July to November 2023, brought all recording season to a halt. For an animation film, voice recording is crucial throughout production. Actors needed their license actor suddenly those performances to inform the animation, then often actor return for additional recording. As scenes evolve, this interview process is essential to Pixar's workflow. As news of the impending strike circulation, the Inside Out 2 team went into overdrive the scheduled 30 recording season in 30 days, racing to capture as much dialogue as possible before the strike began. It was exhausting for everyone. The voice artists, the directors, the recording engineers, but they put it off. During the strike, animators continued using the recorded dialogue they had, but everyone known additional season would be needed. The team worked around the absence as best they could, but the monument was disturbed. When the strike finally ended in November 2013, there was relief but also urgency. They immediately scheduled another 30 recording season in 30 days to capture everything they missed. To record new lessons for season they had evolved during the strike. This breakneck recording schedule while collecting had to expected benefit. The consequences season kept everyone instantly focused. There was no time for endless deliberation. Decisions had to be made quickly, which sometimes led to more stiff, emotionally honest choice. Despite all those object pandemic remote work actor strike, Inside Out 2 stayed on schedule for its June 14, 2024 release date. This spoken to the delusion and performational to everyone involved and to picture industrial experience is problem solving under pressure. Story developing and the Hawke challenge. While production faced external challenge, the story itself went through major international transforms that could define the final film. The premise was also clear. Released now 13. Facts the arrival of new emotion as she entered puberty and high school. But the specific circumstances what would trigger the emotion conflict evolved significantly. Early in development, the story revealed around a talent show. Riley would prepare for a talent show performance, and anxiety would swell, trying to ensure that she succeeded and embraced her peers. This framework made sense talented shown are high pressure social situation perfect for anxiety. But as the storytelling worked through this version, something felt off. The talent show didn't contact strongly enough to Riley's core identity. In the first film, Riley's love of Hawke had been crucial. It represents her connection of Minnesota to her parents, to her childhood happiness. Hawke was who Riley was. Director Kelly's Man and Ryan Make Revolve made the decision to shift the story back to hockey instead of a talent show. Riley would attend a hockey camp where she tried to make the high school team. This challenge returned on multiple levels. First, it admission community. With the first film, hockey wasn't just a plot device, it was fundamental to Riley's character. Second, it raised the stake, meaning the hockey team wasn't about one performance. It would determine Riley's entire high school experience, her friend group, her identity. Third, it created a perfect environment for anxiety to take control. The pressure to perform, to fit it with other teammates, to prove herself worthy, its anxiety full. The hockey champ setting also allowed the story to explore friendship demands. Riley's meet new potential friend including Val, a cool older player she admired. Anxiety convinced Riley that she needed to abandon her old friends Barry and Grace to fit in with the high school crowd. This painful but realistic teenager behavior gave the film emotional depth. Throughout development, the creative team worked closely with Clinton physicalist to ensure the definition of Lilic's anxiety sphere felt authentic. They wanted to show how anxiety, while trying to help, can actually sabotage the things we care about most. One of the film's most powerful sequences, Riley's panic attack, during a critical moment, one through extensive development. The team consulted with teenagers who had experienced panic attack to understand what it felt like physically and emotionally. They studied the film uncut gems for inspiration, particularly its visually intense, colophonic style, the creator visual anxiety in viewers. The panic attack sequences needed to walk a delicate line. It had to be intense and realistic enough to resonate with people who is experienced panic attack, but not so overwhelming that it become unwatchable or triggering. The balance they struck proved powerful. Many viewers reported crying during the scene, recognizing their own experience on screen. The script also evolved and ensured each emotion had meaningful moment and arcs. In assembled films, it's easy for some character to get lost, but LeFou's screenplay gave everybody purpose. Joyce's arc particularly resonant. She learned that she can protect Riley from all negative emotion that grow up require experiencing discomfort and anxiety. It's a marathon of joy herself, recognizing that toxic positivity isn't healthy. By the time the script was locked, Inside Out 2 had evolved with something more complex and emotionally sophisticated than the first film, while maintaining the humor, heart, and visual creativity that made pictures special animation and technical revolution. Bring the emotion back of life 9 years after the film present massive technical challenge that required revolutionary solution. The first Inside Out was Renegade use Pixar's Remerman race system, the legendary technology that had powered Pixar films since Tony's story. But by 2014, Pixar had transitioned to Mandarman RIS, a completely different recording artificial optimization for modern lighting and material. This meant that every single element from the first film needed to be rebuilt from search for a new system. The shader team couldn't simply input the original character setup and press render. They have to reverse engineering the look, feel, and magical properties of each emotion using entirely different tools. Technical supervisor Masha Elworth and her team began by attempting to load old archive for the first film. Not everything loaded. 9 years in entirely in technology, but they recovered enough to inform the restoration process. They rolled back old version of Maya Pictures animation software and even received SLMI, a deployment tool to complete old shader and study how they work. We were essentially Detective Alworth explained in technical interviews. We had to understand not just what those characters look like, but how they were constituted as a fundamental level. Then rebuild the magic in a completely new rendering pipeline. The emotion is inside out to urgent solid character. They are made of light and energy, with particles constantly flowing within and around them. Joy, spark and glow, sadness, safe and soft, difficult quality, anchor literary bursts. Those wasn't complete texture, they are complex shader system with multiple layers of effects. For Inside Out 2, the lighting team developed new tools in Katana. Their lighting software, the intelligent tightly with Ramadan Ram's RAS. They create character rings in Katana that could be achieved to each emotion and manipulate per sense. This gives lighters control to adjust the character based on time of day, environment, lighting, and emotional state. Lead lighting artist Sadapt Rangsi described the breakthrough. We developed a ring system that maintained character consequently while allowing shoot specific objects. If anxiety is in a dark room versus bright sunlight, her glow and particles needed to reach realistically while still maintaining her essential anxietiness. The new emotion present fresh technical challenges. Anxiety needed to vibrate with nervous energy, not just in her animation, but in her very constitution. Her practical move faster and more electrical than the other emotion. Her color shift subjectly with her stress level, ranging from bright orange when she is particularly exhausted to deeper, almost red orange during panic. Inmu draped over her couch required clothes simulation that interest with her noodly like body. The technical artist had to ensure her clothing moved naturally when she moved in distantly, unnatural ways, certainly impossibly, flopping around, reaching across waist, distance without getting up. Embarrassment hoodie was another challenge. He hid it, pulled it over his face, used it as both comfort and shield. The cloth needed to feel heavy and converting while also moving natural with his large awake body. The virtual camera and cinematography. Inside Out 2 cinematography required some of the most sophisticated virtual camera work in animation history. Unlike live action filming, where you point physical camera at real object, animation required building every shot from nothing. Their layout development serves as the cinematography team, making crucial decisions about composition, camera movement, lens choice, and visual language. Director of photography for layout Adam Habib and his team development that they call the Gamma stage process externality, creating a menu of visual approach for different emotion and sense. Before a single shot was animated, they established the film visual grammar. For example, when Joy is in control and really feel confident, the camera work is smooth and steady. White lens the space composition communicated opens and possibility, but then anxiety takes over everything challenge. The camera become handed and jittery. Longer lens create compress, making space feel cramped. Quick stage instant tension. This wasn't arbitrary. Those cinematographic choice mirror how anxiety actually affect perception. When you are anxious, the world feel compressed, unstable, overwhelming. The camera work makes viewers experience the tension viscerally. The Gamma stage at Pixar is a remarkable space. Physical cameras are mounted along the walls, with monitors displaying the virtual set of Inside Out 2. Layout artists can physically walk through those spaces with handheld controls, moving virtual camera through virtual environment in real time. This technology allows for inward spontaneous camera work rather than programming camera move. Mastery cinematographers can feel their way through a scene's recording intervally to the action and emotion. Those rough pieces are then refined, but the entire spontaneity give short or organic quality that hard to achieve through properly technical means. For Inside Out 2, the team paid special attention for establishing particle constituency within Rayleigh's mind. In the film, new sessions were added to accommodate the new emotion. The sense of self are become crueler to the story. To maintain spatial logic, the team used historic mapping, strongly creating blueprint of those imaginary space. Every room, every hallway, every era of Rayleigh's mind were mapped repeatedly so that characters could negative consequently and audience would understand the geography. The contrast between Rayleigh's external world and her internal emotional world also require careful visual language since is the real world. The Hawke champ used naturalistic lighting and composition similar to live action coming of age film. But since inside Larry's mind become more stylized, colorful, and environment, this visual decision helps audience negative the constant cutting between inter and extra without confusion, editing and story remind. The editing process for Inside Out 2 was a continuous, inevitable journey that led the entire 4 years production. Lead editor Marusa Hauras and her team work in Pixar's unique animation editor workflow, which differ dramatically from live-action editing. In live-action, an edit, receive footage and assemble it into a controlled film. But in animation, editing being with storyboards long before any animation exists and continues evolving as animation element arrive determined. Story artist Rebecca played a critical role in refining emotion beats during the storyboard push. Her work helped establish the pacing and trying the would guide the entire production. The first version of any sequences in animated film is incredibly rough, hand-drawn. Storyboard timed out at 16 frames per second with no sound. Horwitz would assemble those words to create a early animatic assembly, a moving comic book version of the film. Those animators were credited repeatedly for the creative team, who provide feedback. Sequences that didn't work were received, sometimes dozens of times. Entire story segments were cut or completely resumed. This iterative process is brutal but standardization. It's far easier to define a problem and make challenge at the storyboard stage than after animation has been completed. One example, a early scene the Rebecca boarded in May 2021 went through so many receivers that if didn't get stand to animation until January 2023, nearly 2 years later. Those typical for Pixar's demanding quality standard. As production progressed, Hawke's storyline became increasingly complex. Storyboards were greatly repaired with layout, then animation, then lighting and effect at any given moment. The cut might contain storyboard for some sequences, rough animation for others, and nearly finished shot elsewhere. This patchwork created unique challenge artists needed to maintain the film rhythm and emotion along with continuously swapping out elements at different level of complication. A scene might play perfectly with storyboard but feel entirely different once full animation and lighting were added. The film also worked with themes music from previous Pixar films. Horwitz would cut it emotion score scores from Inside Out, Up Coco, and other films to help guide the emotional beat. This stamp music served as blueprint for compressed arrangement but so the score breaking barriers. Inside Out 2 made history by becoming the first Pixar feature film scored by a woman, Andrea Zoltzman. Zoltzman wasn't new to Pixar. She'd been working with the studio for years, entirely as score coordinator on films like Up, Cars 2, and the film Inside Out. She creatively collaborated with the legendary Michael Guccio, learning from one of animation's greatest composers. Her first major Pixar composition was for the short film Toy Story, The Time Forget in 2024. She later scored the Disney Plus series Dog Days and the Caught Call Date, which served as proof of complex that she could handle the feature film. When Kelsey Mann needed a composer from Inside Out 2, Zoltzman was the perfect choice. She understands Pixar emotion storytelling language, had proven her composition skill on shooter project, and deeply understands the film Inside Out musical DNA. since she'd worked on it as score coordinator. The announcement in March 2024 was significant despite Pixar's 28th film history at the point. No woman had ever composed a feature score for the studio. Animation, like many arts of film, had been dominated by male compress. What's done approves required overhaul progress. Her approach to the score balanced community with innovations. Several of musical Gasso's original theme from most notably Joy's theme and the Blue of Joy motif. This musical callback provide emotion communication for audience returning to the world. Anxiety the theme was the most complex and verticide judgment described anxiety musically as a zing or bolt of lightning, something that grabs your attention suddenly, but they them use structural studies and bright breaks. They create a sense of urgency and restlessness, but it's vertical enough to be played musically during panic or more quietly as background nonsense. In his theme, use voiceless yearning Malik parts the never quite revolves, musically requesting wanting something just out of reach. Embarrassment theme feature lower instrument, particularly bassmon and bass vertical with hastical holding rhythm that musically embody awkwardness. In Mo theme is species is disconnected with long pause and minimal intimation capturing her authentic nature. Caution and future. Inside Out 2 unpursued success. The individual caution agent will those be in Inside Out 3? As a early 2026, Pixar has not officially announced Inside Out 2, but Disney CEO Bob Iger was strongly hinted at continued explanation of this universe. In an interview discussing the studio future plan, had made mentioned the franchise like Inside Out 2 represent tremendous value and ongoing storytelling production. The ending of Inside Out 2 level room for communication without dementing it, really story reaching a satisfaction consequence with her accepting all her emotion. But she is only 13. High school still weird. First relationship, college approach, leaving home, release emotion journey has many chapters left. Director Melis Mann has inspired opening of returning if the right story process itself in interview. He emphasized that any sequel would needed to justify this existence nearly not just capitalize on commercial success. The gap between Inside Out 2 and Inside Out 1 and Inside Out 2 happened become the story dramatic it while needed to grow for 23 to 30 for elementary high school. Following the logic, Inside Out 3 explore release at 16 or 17, fixing the process of college application, first serious relationship, and amending adulthood. New emotion could include love, attention, extortion dread, teenage realization of mortality and life, bigger caution or nostalgia, straight looking back to childhood. There's also potential for explaining other characters' headquarters. What does mom's or dad emotion control room like? How do adult emotion different from teenage aunts? The film brilliantly shown this, but there's room for deeper explanation. Some industry instead have suggested about spin-off potential, a Disney Plus series exploring different people's headquarters would work. Those it tricks curating that make Inside Out 2 special. The theatrical event feel established to the experience. Those stories benefit from the communal, visual and production scale that television might not provide. The success of Inside Out 2 has succeeded the franchise's plans in Pixar's top tier alongside Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and The Incredible. Unlike some franchises where quality demands with each sequel, Inside Out 2 maintained the original stand while deepening its theme. This would will for potential future instrument. Legacy and influence on animation. Inside Out 2 influence on animation and family entertainment will be felt for years to come. The film demand the audience crave emotionally sponsored control that response their studios illegals in the era where some studio dumb down control or really having on pop culture refers a celebrity voice casting. Inside Out 2 success through emotion, authentic and static depth. This will likely influence other studios' development standards, expect more animation film taking complex emotion and physicalist throws with filmer submission. The financial success proved the family film doesn't mean symbolic or childish. It means contact that engage all age on different level. Marketing and adaptation. As Inside Out 2 approached its June 2024 release, Disney and Pixar featured the challenge of making a sequel 9 years after the original. How do you replace audience attention after nearly a decade? The first teaser dropped in November 2023 and it was strangely brilliant. The teaser opened with footage from the first film, joy, sadness, fear, disgust and anger, meaning really emotion during a hockey game. It feels nostalgic and comfortable, reminding audience what they love the original. Then come the depression, concentration, work, enter headquarters. The original emotion look confused. What happening? What are you people? Fear us and them. Anxiety appears, voiced by Mia Hawke, nervously included herself with bags of laughter, emotion, beige. This 90-second teaser perfectly communicated the sequel promise while granting immediate interest. Who are those new emotion? How will they interact with the original? The internet exploded with disaster, teaser and meme. They make treating empires that wasn't just a cash grab sequel. It was a natural communication of real story. The first film ended with Riley at 12. Now she is 13, facing high school. Any present of a teenager. Any adult who remember being a teenager immediately understand what premise anxiety entering Riley's mind and poverty isn't just a clever plot device, it's physicalography approach. Disney lived any Polar Star Paul extendedly Polar did contrast interview produce and talk how sports are genuine instrument for the project was influential. She discussed how the film reported with her as a parent of teenage, adding personal authentic to the promotion. Hawke also became a cruel marketing assist. As a rising star with her own fan base from teenager thing, she brought younger audience who might not have seen the first Inside Out to the sequel. The making also highlighted the theme of anxiety, then mental health in a way, particularly among young people, are far more open than in 2025. Inside Out 2 potential isn't not just a entertainment but as a tool for filming to discuss those challenging topics. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Make sure you like this video and subscribe our channel. I'll see you later with new video.